right. All right, folks, just top button here. Well, our lives are being changed again. By the way, I'm going to, some people have asked to come on as guests. I'm going to email them tomorrow, probably going to do a show about that. But I just want to ask anyone out there, the few people that listen, when have they ever heard the term mostly peaceful protest? And we have political Woodstock. You know what? I'm going to invite political Woodstock on my show. Oops, gosh darn it. I'm going to invite political Woodstock on my show. She wants to come on. She can come on. It's going to be a brief conversation only because, gosh darn it. Why is that not copied? The clipboard, it's copied. And then let me go here. And then let me paste and boom. Well, I'm inviting her to the StreamYard, by the way, if she wants to come on. She's welcome to come on this show. But I'm asking the question, when has anyone ever heard the term before these riots? When has anyone ever heard the term mostly peaceful protest? When has anybody ever heard that term? It used to be when a protest turned violent, that was it. It was a violent protest. So January 6th and all throughout the summer and some of the spring, we had violent protests. And we're facing new restrictions because I guess a new virus is out. So the pandemic is continuing. And unfortunately, we don't have any news media that can really be trusted to give us accurate information. And there may be crackpots on either side, but it is so difficult right now. These situations are difficult, and we don't have, I feel like, America, a place for the free world, does not have anybody that they can turn to that isn't biased and that just shoots straight with the American people. And that's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. Anyway, I'm going to go to Political Awesome, also known as Political Woodstock. Political Woodstock, the noise out there. So
that's the, hold on, there, that's better. Can you hear me?
Now, yeah, yes, okay. Now, Political Woodstock, you've been around the political landscape perhaps as long as I have. I mean, just you and I both have been political junkies since even we were kids. When have you? Yeah.
I started getting more active again in 2004, which usually an activist only lasts about 2 years. You can get burnout real easy. Mm-hmm. But as a child, I went to political fundraising events quite often.
Yes. And I was just going to ask, let me see what I can ask here. When have you ever heard the term mostly peaceful protest?
In the beginning of the Seattle protest, in the beginning, when there was some rebel rousing, people that took advantage. Also during the New York, oh my goodness, the man that was suffocated to death. Who I'm speaking about?
The guy who was selling loose leaf cigarettes.
Yes, that man. I also heard that term then, and then occasionally, sporadically, through different things. I didn't hear it with the St. Louis protests, but I mean, they burnt a number of buildings there. But I
So
wonder if this is a revolution that is coming. All revolutions start in violence. I mean, if you think of every revolution, like the American Revolution, it started in violence. That's true. That's a fact. What do you
this,
think of that idea? Conclude.
I, I think the protests and riots do not have popular support. I don't think the riots have ever had popular support. And, I'd have to look where they have said that before, but it is certainly something new for because I believe that the Seattle protests was it in the 90s?
Well, there
Or
was a number of different protests. I'm talking about the one that started, I think it was about 2.5 years ago. And they just camped out and they took over part of Seattle and the mayor gave up. But if you were, well, not that we remember, but when the American Revolution happened, there was a lot of people that didn't agree with it. They made speeches, they stood on a stump in the town square, telling the other people to fall in and behave and all that other stuff. So there was tension then between different Americans or future Americans, I guess I should say.
well, Americans have never been. I think America in the world has never been divided as before. And we don't really and truly, though, Angela, we do not have a media that is not non-biased. It
Well,
is
we
all,
haven't since 1981. Sorry for cutting in, but I know your time is shorter in the morning. President Reagan dismantled that, where before they had to report both sides of the story, both sides of the facts, and facts, not emotion. We can look to Don Lemon of CNN and see how emotional his message is. There's facts. He's more of a histrionic person, more prone to exaggeration and his tears and that just sickens me. Concluded.
and I'm surprised that and I've heard that it really doesn't matter what kind of viewership they get, so long as the sponsors are happy. Because I was, I make, I comment on some of the videos, and CNN's ratings are really low,
Yes.
and I asked why are they? I mean, why are they still on the air? Why haven't they been canceled? Why haven't they gotten new staff? Because of you know these people. A lot of people do not like them, and at least close to 50% of Americans do not actively don't like them, and the other half is hit or miss about them. So why haven't they switched up their format? But I guess it doesn't matter because I guess the sponsors are happy with them. Is that the case?
Well, I'm more on the left. There's people I can't stand, and it's getting worse, like Don Lemon. And he seems different. I mean, he seems like he's trying to tell more facts of late. I think he knows he's on the chopping block. I mean, he's a black gay man, and a lot of people do not like that. I mean, that's just a fact. They missed the old days where they saw their own people on the news channels, and that's not correct because America is diverse, but that's part of the game still today. There's people that want to remain in power and enjoy their white privilege.
I
And I
just
do believe white privilege
I'm gonna
exists. Included.
I'm gonna cut you off. The only reason I am is because I have limited time. But CNN had a black. I mean, he wasn't a black gay man, but they had Bernard Shaw. I believe his name was Bernard Shaw, and people didn't dislike him like they disliked Don Lemon. There have been black hosts before that they've had on that that at least half of America does not like. And they also don't like Brian Stelter either. And Brian Stelter's not a gay black man, but they can't stand him. I mean, when you say things like freedom of speech does not mean freedom of reach, it does kind of mean that you're in favor of censorship. And Section 230 I thought was written so information can flow, and that's not the case anymore because the powers that be don't like the information that's coming out, and it challenges their narrative. So they're saying, wait a minute, we don't want this out there, so we're going to censor it. And right now, Angela, we're facing another form. I mean, I can't even say what it is on the internet, but we are facing another pandemic that's going to perhaps lock us down again. And it's frustrating. Like we can't get, like let's
Well, from the sidelines about the variant, I mean, people saw this coming. That's the variant that was in India and it traveled. It's just like the flu. The flu is a virus, also. The coronavirus is a virus, of course, and the flu mutates. That's why people get different flu shots. Matter of fact, in different regions of the country, that flu shot varies and it has different strains of the local flu virus within that vaccine. The same thing will hold true for that coronavirus. More than likely, if not every year, maybe every 2 or 3 years, people that want to be vaccinated will have a vaccine that they can acquire.
Oh, you know what? I just got back onto the stream, so yeah, they cut me off for a while there. That's kind of new what they did. I had to kind
What?
of
Well,
yeah.
why do they do that? I'm confused.
No, it's just the I don't know what it was, but I got but yeah, I mean, I guess there'll be another vaccine, but again, we can't talk about it. We've seen
What?
this.
Oh, okay, because we're talking about that.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it.
and
That's a
and
no word. There's a lot of no words that you can't say or they'll cut you off in mid sentence. It's crazy.
yeah, and we could be locked in our homes, and then our speech is restricted, and the only people we have to depend on are people who've gaslighted and told fabrication and who are histrionic, as you said. I think
Uh-huh.
I think Brian Stelter is the same way.
Yes, because there's a niche for that, but that niche is being overwhelmed
I
by
don't.
people that just want facts. They want the news to be reported, not the person's emotions.
Yeah,
And that's what's going on. Do you agree with that or no?
I do agree with that, and I want to say that this is this is the generation because the generation before that this is Generation X and the millennials that have entered into the news stream, and they are, Generation X is the first generation that did not have to face a military draft because the baby boomers all had a draft and they all had kind of a military style of just report the facts and they were obedient to the corporate people there, and there was a strict guidelines and rules that were done, and you never deviated. And that standard is no longer because the military culture is no longer there now. She left us just for a bit, and I only have a few minutes, but I'm gonna wait and see if she comes back. But that's one of the things that it looks like, and I could be wrong on this, but we're further away from the American military culture of just reporting the facts and not giving your opinion. Now, they've also been biased and they've uh, There have been times when they've told untruths, but they've also they have also were less histrionic and less emotional. So let's go on here. Now I don't know if you were able to hear what I was saying because
No, I think there's a problem with the app called StreamYard.
you might be correct. Now I wanted to say, Angela, that and I said this before that generating because the news media right now it's primarily Generation X, which you and I are part of, and
Mm-hmm.
generation and the millennials that are in the news media right now. Brian Stelter is a millennial, and then the rest are Generation X. And Generation X is the first generation that with modern televised news that didn't have a military draft where conscription part of the was not part of the dialogue, and there was, I believe, a militaristic style culture, a stoic militaristic style culture that was in the newsroom, and that's no longer there. I mean, the stoicism of newscasters and news people is no longer there.
No, you're right. It was a rarity for them to have an emotional explanation of the news. Now it's every day. I mean, it is every day. And why go to them? I'll go to Al Jazeera to hear news there because they seem not as emotional. And it's just a big disappointment in our news today. I hope it changes.
Well, I mean, it's harder to call out nowadays just due to the fact that
The offending thing, they get offended.
well, and also they also control. I mean, they're also actively the mainstream news, our corporate news, is very active in censorship, from my understanding. Could be wrong on that, but that's what it
Well,
looks like.
they have a platform they want to push. Now, if you have a platform that you really want to push, you're not going to encourage the other platform. I'm talking about different type of news perspectives or different sides of the story. They're going to do it's like, at night those advertisements that come online like I think the My Pillow guy still has advertisements. That is what the news reminds me of now. Just disgusting.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'm going to go further into this.
Okay.
And really interesting. You put and you put out that perspective of histrionic.
Yes, it's very much so. It's his ask JP about it more. I think he could make a conclusion much better than I could. Joe.
Anyway, Angela, I do have to get going. I really
Okay. Have you done the please like my channel and subscribe so you can know when I'm on? I'm usually on in the morning and sometimes in the evening because I got a notification that you were on. So that helps me listen because sometimes you have short videos.
That's correct.
So, and I do like your videos. So I encourage everybody to go ahead down below on the right, hit subscribe, and then there'll be a little bell, a notification bell. And it's very helpful to hear about the current video because I think he has relevant topics on today's society that affect everyone. Concluded.
That is, yeah, well, I really do thank you. Yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you wish. I'm going to have a guest on, but this is a good topic. I think I will do about the histrionic news that we have today. Anyway,
do you think you can get Joe on, or are you going to have somebody else?
No, I think I'm certainly going to invite you on, Angela, and then I think there are some people on who I don't know who they are, but I'm going to certainly invite them. But that might be for Thursday because tomorrow I have to get in the morning. But
I know you need to go to work. Thank you for having me on. Concluded. I'll mute myself.
You're very welcome. And like I said, like and subscribe. The one thing that Joe and I are trying to do with our channel and our webpage is really to have an honest dialogue. And for me, I don't want it to be emotional and histrionic and all that other stuff. So anyway, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Thank you.